Hello there, it's Linda Hill here reporting from Australia. Well, the energy around us is pretty hectic at the moment, and I was wondering whether to make a video right now in amongst all of this because I like to keep things upbeat and be really positive about things. But then, well, this is the reality of the story that, Mars is really coming into this T-square that we've been having with Uranus and Pluto. So what does that mean in English? Well, this is going to be a pretty big couple of weeks. Um, I think that the major thing is we have to sort of continue to breathe in and breathe out, and have faith that all will be okay. Mars is on an interesting degree today. Now, what day am I doing this? I'm doing this on the 5th of December 2015 here in Australia, which means it's the 4th of December in the evening in the United States. So, because we're a day ahead of the United States in our counting of the days. Anyway, but it's all the same and it's all happening now. And for the next at least 24 hours, Mars is going to be on the 14th degree of Libra. Now, the Sabian symbol for that is a noon siesta. It's an interesting degree. I've seen that people who have this in their charts don't know how to relax. They often, they they would love to take time out to have, a breather, to go on a holiday or any of those sort of things, but they either seem to have too much to do or they can just be downright workaholics. It's like having to always be succeeding or taking on things or making things work. So with Mars on the noon siesta, which is the 14th degree, is it the 14th degree? I have to pull that up. Yes, it's the 14th degree of Libra. We really need to know when to call a halt, but at the same time, it can really benefit us by doing the things that really need doing, especially if it's things that we've put off for a long time. In amongst it, though, it doesn't hurt to lay on the lounge and mindlessly eat popcorn and watch TV, especially with the recent events that have gone on in the United States. I don't want to get too much into that. I have a very political brain, but, it's sort of like it doesn't really help much to rant on about guns and things like that. It does. I can't help but wonder why the Republicans would vote to not have safety checks on people that are applying for gun licenses. I don't know what on earth. Well, it's obvious that anyway, there's agendas. What can we do? So especially seeing I live in Australia, a whole different land. And I have many fabulous friends in the States, and of course, all of these things, we're all one big world. It can be hard to relax with Mars on the 14th degree of Libra, on the noon siesta, and it is square Pluto, and Pluto is on the children's ward in a hospital is filled with toys. It's about hospitals, and two of the recent attacks, gun violence episodes that happened within the last 24 hours, they were both at medical facilities or medical type facilities. And so, and the other one the other day was, the abortion clinic, same sort of stuff. So, yeah, in a hospital, the children's ward is filled with toys. When Pluto was last on this some months ago, the vaccination debate really heated up as if we were all, imminently about to die from some terrible disease. This everything gets really ramped up, through Pluto. So we've got Mars coming to square Pluto, and it's right now it's beginning, and over the next couple of days there's going to be the exact square between Mars and Pluto. This can really get our energies going. It can get us feeling like we want to take on the world of fight, or we don't want to. It can be the other side of it where we just might be walking down the street and things happen. But anyway, hopefully not. Mars Pluto can be a very good thing. It can be about passion. It can be about, making things work for you. It doesn't have to be all negative or anything. It's just that there's so many things ramping up that are challenging us at the moment. So we have to really concentrate on the positive and turn our energies towards those good things. When Mars is exactly square Pluto in the next couple of days, it's square Pluto from Libra 15, which is circular paths. Now, this has a lot to do with 9/11, but again, that doesn't have to mean anything in particular. But yeah, that's a degree that was in the 9/11 chart. So anyway, not wishing anything like that on anything, that's for sure. Can we bring about peace? That would be a very good thing. But the circular paths can have us going around and around in circles. It can have us going We might be in a plane that can't land because there's too much fog. We might be in a plane in our head that can't land because there's too much fog. We have things that are running around and around, and we might find ourselves running around in circles, but particularly as will have just gone off the noon siesta, again, which can be a degree where people don't know when to stop, especially when it's square Pluto and coming up to oppose Uranus. So briefly put about Mars, Mars, well, I'll try to be brief. Mars is going over some of the most difficult degrees in Libra that there are. Now, if you have these degrees in your chart, it does not mean that you're doomed or something terrible is going to happen. Not at all. A lot of people take these degrees and they work them like an alchemy. That's what the Sabian symbols are about. They're about an alchemy. And so when you can make these things much better for yourself. It's just like the noon siesta, if we realize that that's hovering around us, or indeed if we have it in our chart, we can say to ourselves, okay, now I'm definitely going to stop. Even if it's just for half an hour, I'm going to stop, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to make good use of this moment, instead of just running around in circles. The degrees that Mars goes over, there's, it's the, tomorrow, well, don't worry about what tomorrow is, but the next degree of Mars, it's within the next 24 hours, it's going to move on to Libra 15, circular paths. And then it moves on to Libra 16, which is after the storms of winter, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. This is when we, feel like we've got to reconstruct some part of our lives, or we might realize that we've let things slip to the extent that we need to get out our hammer and nails, whether it's our mental processes or whatever. We have to step up and make things better. And then the next degree of Mars, this is over the coming week, it's a retired sea captain watching ships entering and leaving the harbour. The birds are making a racket out there. I think that might be a cuckoo. They come down from Indonesia and scare the heck out of our native birds. But anyway, a retired sea captain watching ships entering and leaving the harbour, that can be where, again, we need to take a break. But it's like the storms, keep bringing us back. It's interesting the retired sea captain can have the idea of storms in it as well. He's sitting on his porch and he's probably watching, the storm gathering, the storm, brewing and the storm breaking out and then the calm and, and then he has to pick his moments to go back out there into what it is that's going on. When Mars, that's the degree of Mars when it's opposite Uranus. So, there's a fair bit of, heck, do I run out into that or do I allow myself to sit on the porch and observe? Observing is a very good way of getting through this week. We can't always be observing. We have to be out in it. We have to be, driving to work. We have to be, interrelating with family. We have to be going to the, supermarket, getting supplies. But, that it's, well, just watching your reactions is a big thing with Mars and Libra anyway. Having Mars and Libra, transiting through Libra, it can bring that up anyway, let alone these degrees that it's going over. It then goes over the two men placed under arrest that give an accounting for their actions before the tribunal of society. Who knows what that's going to be? It feels like, on the political level that, people will be brought to account. I think there's going to be a lot of that. Maybe some more, in Australia we call them royal commissions, where we look into the wrongdoings of so many. And there needs to be more of those going on, but less money spent on all that, of course. So anyway, but it means much more than that. It can be where we really look at how we keep ourselves in handcuffs, like how are we handcuffed to situations or people or ideas or jobs or, whatever, houses, situations that keep us handcuffed to a reality that we don't want anymore, especially with Mars in Libra. There can be a real lot of investigations into relationships, whether they're sexual relationships or partnerships or friendships. With this Mars and Libra, there can be that real look at how they're serving you and how you want them to be rather than how that you're seeing them unfolding. And of course, we can make a big difference to that by our own mental attitude. And the mental attitude can be really changed. And in the next few weeks, I'm talking about Mars going over these degrees in Libra. Mars is going to go over the gang of robbers in hiding. So I hope that this rhetoric, and it's going to be square Uranus at the same time. It's all happening. It's all Mars is setting off this Uranus-Pluto square, and it doesn't matter. Well, it does, but I mean, there's no use me stopping to say and on this date exactly. It's just an isness, and it's an unfolding, and so. Yeah, and you can always check out my website to see if I've posted something about the unfolding of these degrees to get an exact handle on when it's happening, as it happens. So, but the gang of robbers in hiding, it's like, that can be where we shine light on those gang of robbers. But, that Mars in Libra on that degree, I have a very strong feeling with Mars is still going to be squaring Uranus. There's going to be more propaganda, more hate against the refugees, more hate against, Muslims. I hate to say it. I don't like saying any of that. There can be a real backlash of the gang of robbers in hiding. We have to be really discerning about what gets under our skin, with Mars in Libra, with these degrees in particular. We have to let it go, breathe it out. So as I'm making this video, the sun is on a widow's past is brought to light. It's the 13th degree of Sagittarius. And so the widow's past is brought to light. It's interesting. You can make a parallel with what's happening in California with the press going through those people that did that terrible event in California yesterday. They're rummaging through their belongings in that flat, which I find completely disgusting. But anyway, I won't get into that either. I'm trying not to be political or bring up these more difficult things, but there they are. They're right in our face. And so the widow's past is brought to light can also be, on a general level in our lives, it can be where we really start to see how we sabotage relationships or other people around us might be doing that, how there might be secrets that are brought to light. There might be things that we're told so that we realize things. It's actually a really good degree, Sagittarius 13. It's just that sometimes the things that are brought to light, especially with Mars in Libra, can be things that have us going, oh, okay, all right, I get it. It can be sometimes where we find out something about somebody we've been keen on, that we don't particularly like, or we're told that the relationship is over. It can be those things, the widow's past. It can be where we have to say goodbye to something or let go of some ideal. Interestingly, in about 12 hours from when I'm making this video, the sun goes on to Sagittarius 14, which is the pyramids and the Sphinx. This has got a lot to do with big business. It's got a lot to do with Egypt, of course, naturally. The mysteries, it can be about the mysteries. It can be about how we work for big financial situations that don't really benefit us. We can be those slaves, those peons, those laborers, putting the bricks in. Oh, the bricks. So, like building that edifice, building that wall. There's stuff to be said about that as well. And then the next day, this is in a couple of days' time, the sun goes over to Sagittarius 15, which is the groundhog looking for its shadow. And so I really feel like this is really welling in this next week to be saying, are we doing the same thing over and over? Is that what we're doing? Are we, concentrating on do we get up at 6 o'clock, get dressed, we'll get dressed and then have a shower? Yes, right. You can tell I don't commute in the morning. I compute in the morning. That's definitely something I do. But I've never been a commuter except when I was very young. Not my style. But a lot of people have to do that, so that, and I do have my own version of Groundhog Day, for goodness sake. We wake up and we go, oh, again, am I doing this again? Is this my life again? But, the Groundhog Day, he's looking for his shadow on Groundhog Day. The groundhog is looking for his shadow on Groundhog Day. It's Sagittarius 15. That means 14 in the zodiac. You always add one. That's a given. Anyway, so it's like, what are our realities? How are we in this continuum? A bit like the circular paths around and around. Mars is going on to that as well. It's interesting because the circular paths are going to be bringing up the Groundhog Day idea even more. This is over the next week, and then we've got Sagittarius 8. Seagulls fly around a ship looking for food. That's an interesting one as well. I'm not going to do too many of them, but I want to say that in a week's time, it's tiny children playing in sunbonnets. The sun goes on to that's Sagittarius 18. That's when it's 17 plus in the zodiac. And then the pelicans, disturbed by the garbage of people, move their young to a new habitat. These degrees were really being hit off by Mercury in this last week. So Mercury went up just in the last few days, 3 or 4 days. It's the abortion clinic and what happened in California, but it's many things besides that. It can be where we might decide that we don't want to watch the news anymore, or we have to be judicious about how much we watch the news. Maybe that's part of the noon siesta. Take a siesta from it. It's hard though if you've got a political mind because you want to know what's going on in the world. I think that's, there's a lot of people who want to know what's going on. We can't all sit there and, although I think we can at times. But yeah, so here we are with Mercury today. It's interesting. It's the group of immigrants fulfilling the requirements for entering a new country. That is Sagittarius 23. And so the group of immigrants, fulfilling the requirements, it can be like, oh, do I have the requirements to enter into this new realm that I want to enter into? Am I up to scratch for what I need to have for that? Have I got my papers? And of course, naturally, this can really talk about the refugees, but I think it's a lot more than that. I think that many of us, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, want to move into a new state of being. And it's like, how can I qualify for that? Even if it's qualifying in our own mind. Yesterday, well, just up until just a few hours ago, Mercury was on the Chinese laundry. And this again is part of that. Oh, it's part of the noon siesta ideal. It's like I'm, washing people's underpants and getting paid $2.50 for the joy of doing it. Do people thank me for what I really, for what I do, with my work? The Chinese laundry can have us like being really locked away. It can have us, and it can be a really good degree, but it can be one where we shut the door and go, nah, not today. I just want to be by myself, or with family or whatever. Or it can be where we go, I have to knuckle down and get work done. In a couple of days, well, it's not even a couple of days, it's like in about a day and a half's time, the Mercury will move on to Sagittarius 24. It's a bluebird, the sign of good luck and happiness is standing at the door of the cottage. This is a lovely degree, and it can be where we do well to count our blessings and feel how lucky we are, to have a bed and roof over our head and all those sort of things. We know that, but sometimes we need to be brought back to it. I am a bit concerned when the sun gets to Sagittarius 26. It's a flag bearer in a battle. Not the sun, Mercury, sorry. Mercury is going to be on Sagittarius 26, which means 25 plus in the zodiac. So it's in the next couple of days, the flag bearer in a battle. So, Mercury's message, I think, is to be doing what we want to be doing and be okay with that, and really put our energies into what we're doing. I think that is part of the thing, and the North Node right now, there's a lot to be learned. I think there's a lot to be learned from the Sabian symbols. I think they're the most amazing thing, extraordinary and mind-boggling and holographic. And they really add to to what astrology is telling us, and so here we have the Moon's North Node is on Virgo 29, and it's a man gaining secret knowledge from an ancient scroll he is reading or holding. And this is an extraordinary degree. And I think this, says to us to go back to the wisdom of the ages. But it doesn't even have to be the wisdom of the ages. It can be the wisdom of this new age. I'm not a fan of the expression new age. It sort of puts me off a little bit. Some of the tenets of the new age I find supremely irritating. But other parts of it I find very exciting and wonderful. So, but this is about the ancient scroll. I think that the ancient scroll, it's very much, the ancient wisdom that comes through us, and we can read that ourselves. If we want to get very, a bit elevated about the whole story, it can be almost like reading the Akashic records, or it could be for those who know how to do that. For my own story, I know how to read a chart and get a lot of information out of the Sabian symbols. That is the way I see it working. This is such a big week, it's like, at least Neptune's going direct, and it's on a girl blowing a bugle. it's time to make our announcements, or to have our realizations. The realizations can be really big with this. And Saturn is moving off that square to Neptune. It's not finished with it. It's one of the major events of 2016. But Saturn is slowly moving away. Saturn right now is on a very interesting degree. It's a mother leads her small child step by step up the stairs. And with Saturn there, at times we might feel like we haven't got the guidance we need, or where is the guidance we need, or how can we help the youngsters? Or it can really be, and I've seen this many times, especially with a planet like Saturn there, it can be helping our elders, helping our parents with their steps. I think it can be helping anybody taking those steps. Venus is about to go into Scorpio, so it's ramping up that energy. And as I'm doing this video, Venus is just about to move into Scorpio. And the first degree of Scorpio is the tourists on a sightseeing bus. And in many ways, we can feel like we're observing life. Sometimes we feel like we're not really in life. Or sometimes we can feel with this degree that we're outside of other people's, other people are holding hands, other people are going to the beach, other people are, eating at restaurants, other people are visiting with families. It can be that thing where we go, oh, that's the other people. On the other hand, it's a great degree, the tourist on a sightseeing bus, for taking in what's going on the planet, or what's going on. We take it in, we observe. We don't have to be involved. We can remove ourselves. The tourist on a sightseeing bus, talks about what souvenirs do you have from your journey? Where are you going on your journey? Have you got a guide? Have you got a map? Do you know where you're going? Are you going to just get on the bus and see where it takes you? That can be a good thing. Photographs are a big part of the tourist's journey on that. And so the next degree that Venus goes over in about a day's time, I'm being very ballpark with this. It doesn't really matter because it's all a sequence and it all unfolds. The next degree further on is the broken bottle of perfume. I'm not a huge fan of this degree when it's linked in with Mars squaring Pluto. The broken bottle and spilled perfume. So this can be about the cat being let out of the bag. It can be about dizziness. It can be about things broken. It can be where we feel like we've got no choice, but we have to fess up about something, especially, as the sun has been, is now, and is still going to be on, the widow's past is brought to light. It's sort of like, oh, here we go, I've got to just let it out. It can speak about, broken or hurt backs, sore necks, from the pressure. The broken bottle and spilled perfume, it can be a really good thing, of course, because when we let go of that pressure and let out the perfume or the fragrance, things can really soup up for us. It can be an enormous release of tension. The next degree on, these are coming up in the next few days for Venus, is neighbours coming together in a house raising party. And this can be really, really strongly like, people coming together to help. It's a bit like the refugee thing, have they got, a roof over their head? Do they have the things they need? I am certainly going to be looking through my possessions and donating to the refugee centre because they need our help. So, yes, I'm going to be doing that very willingly. I don't need all the stuff I've got, really. A lot of us don't need the stuff we've got. We've got garages and houses full of stuff. And it might, it doesn't have to be about refugees we give it to. It's the homeless on the street. I mean, it's those who need. It doesn't have to be just one group of people that we, look to. Yeah, so I'm going to just look at one of my quotes for the broken bottle and spilled perfume. I feel to go to that. Venus is not on that yet, but it's in the next few days. I like this. This quote. A single event can awaken within us a stranger totally unknown to us. That was from somebody with a French name that I can't begin to pronounce. But anyway, it doesn't matter. A single event can awaken within us a stranger totally unknown to us. And so, the broken bottle of perfume, the immigrants entering a new country. I mean, the immigrants entering a new country, it can very much be where we have these major realizations and we enter into a new sphere of being on any level. It doesn't have to be prescription for that. That's where Mercury is right now. Jupiter is on a great degree. I think we would do well to really hold on to that Jupiter in a manner of speaking. Jupiter is on the royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. And this can be a reminder of the beauty that we have within or without. It can be about our no matter how much money we've got, it can be about our richness of heritage or lineage. Even if we feel that our ancestors or our family, aren't that royal coat of arms that we might have wanted it to be, it's still got this enormity of grace and beauty and respect. It's a beautiful degree, the 22nd degree of Virgo. I particularly like that one. And when I see it, I know that there's something there that's intrinsically beautiful and wonderful. So Jupiter's on that degree, and it's hanging around that degree for a little while. So I think that's really great. Mercury is squaring Jupiter right now as I do this video, and it will over the next couple of days. And so this can add to the idea of struggle, because it's like my ideas are better than yours, and it's like I really have to stop looking at everything on Facebook, the arguments about, the rights to bear arms, the rights to have guns, and without wanting to stir up anything, I do want to say I want to know where my right is. I don't live in an area where there's a situation with guns. There's no situation with guns where I live, but I want to know where the rights are for people to not have a piece of metal tearing through their bodies, maiming and killing them. Where are the rights of the people not to get shot? I find it a very interesting and skewed argument, that the right to bear arms. Well, where is my right to not have my friends and family and my friends that I could have in life? Where is the right not to have this bullet, shattering their lives? Anyway, there we go. I did have to bring it up, but it's an interesting one. Anyway, at the end of all that, for some unknown reason, I keep getting the Queen coming into my mind. Well, Jupiter is, rules royalty, and Jupiter on the royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. I mean, that is definitely the idea of royalty, and I get the feeling that the Queen might be not long with us. I don't know. I found that I have these ideas and I don't say them out loud, and then I go, oh, dang, I wish I'd actually said that ahead of time. Quite often do that. So anyway, Jupiter is trining her ascendant. It's also trining my ascendant. I have the exact same ascendant as her, and I don't intend to leave anytime soon. But she is a very old lady, and I do get the feeling that something could just happen. Anyway, it might happen around her. Who knows? Life is one step, one journey after another. So the resurrection of faith, I think, needs to happen also. And I think that's got a lot to do with where Chiron is. I see Chiron as the wounded healer, like everybody sees Chiron as the wounded healer. And but I don't only just see, that gets a bit old. I made this up, but I really see Chiron as being the stories that we tell ourselves. I made that up some years ago out of my own head, and I just went, you know what, that's what it is more than anything. Because if we don't have a story, we don't have a wound. It doesn't matter what happens to us. If we attach a story to it that's wounding, then that's where the wound comes from. And so I have to look this one up. I do most of this out of my head, but it's interesting having the Sabian symbols in my mind, because whenever I see a degree of the zodiac, straight to a Sabian symbol. Yes, it's the Easter promenade is the degree of Chiron, and I think that's telling us we have to revive, we have to have renewed faith in our situations. We have to have renewed faith in life. We have to rise from all of that and be okay with it. What I mean by be okay with it is like gather together with others and get past the stories. Got to get past the stories, really. That's a big part of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and goodbye from down under, and I wish you a good week. I'm going to sort of call that the week ahead, because it's basically about the week ahead, but Mars is bringing us some interesting revelations. Bye for now.